Okay, welcome to my season 13 preseason 2023 video and how it's gonna affect Taric, the changes that we're about to see in the game, how, what will it do to Taric support, Taric jungle, all that good stuff. And they have a lot of things here, but I'm gonna actually skip over this stuff to go directly to the items first, and then I'm gonna go back for the rest, just because I feel like the items are a little bit more important than the rest of it. But regardless. So there's these two new items. Acathia's Endurance. 400 health, armor, magic resist, ability haste, right? For each second in combat, gain a stack granting 3 armor magic resist up to 10 max. At max stacks, become empowered, draining enemies around you for 4% of max health, and doubling your resist from stacks until the end of combat. This is basically a survive 10 seconds simulator, right? And Taric can definitely do this. Not to mention that Taric also deals more damage with his passive based on armor. I actually think that this item is going to be cracked for Taric. Any kind of sustained build, lethal tempo, whatever with this item is going to be just ridiculous, right? This is like our version of Moonstone, but even better. I feel like it's just going to be, you're going to feel unkillable, and that's going to be fantastic, right? And then there's this one, Radiant Virtue, 400 health, same stats. Upon casting your ult, you transcend, increasing your max health by 10% for 9 seconds. While transcended, you and your allies within 1200 range of you gain 25 non-ultimate ability haste. You and allies also heal for 1.5% of your max health every 3 seconds, increased by up to 100% based on that champion's missing health. Healing is always double on yourself. So this is also just Taric Simulator, right? This is like, this item, even the name makes me feel like this item was made for Taric to use. The only concern I have for this item is whether or not this item is going to be balanced around really, really HP stacking champions. Like Taric has HP ratios on his Q and kind of on his W a little bit, don't get me wrong. But when there's champions like Zac and Mundo and Cho'Gath in the game, I feel like this item is going to end up being balanced around those champions, because if it's not, those champions are just going to be absolutely ridiculous with this item. So, is Taric going to use it? Maybe, right? I think it could be really good on Taric, but I end up thinking that this item is going to be, balanced around those HP stacking tanks, and because it's going to be balanced around them, I don't think this is going to be ideal for Taric after it's changed and balanced with the rest of the HP stacking champions in the game. I think that this one is going to be more of Taric's bread and butter, because of course he has resist. But you could say if you're facing, lots of flat true damage, like something like a Yi that doesn't build Bork or Kraken Slayers or something, the HP is obviously good. Like, this item makes sense for Taric and, is good for HP stacking. But is it going to be the Taric item? Like, it looks like it, but like, just the fact that it stacks off like max health so much makes me think that it's going to be balanced around those other champs. So enough about that. Iceborne is basically staying the same. I don't think this is changing that much, other than tenacity, slow resist. Frostfire is still going to be good with phase rush into different comps where you have to run away. I still think that's going to be good. So Goliath's Ascendery. Charge up a powerful attack against champions over 3 seconds while within 600 range of them. The charge attack drains the target, dealing percentage of max HP as bonus physical damage and healing you. You permanently gain max health equal to 15% of the drain. And this is just ridiculous. They literally took the Grasp, the rune, and they put it into an item. So anyone who uses Grasp and is a top laner is going to use this item. So this is just going to be absolutely ridiculous for any Grasp users top lane. And we'll see. There's just going to be so many ridiculous things. And the Rod is back. Yes, the Rod is back. But the Rod is a mythic item. So you might think, oh my gosh, Taric, of course he loves Rod because of Catalyst, right? And Catalyst, has all that good stuff. But when you actually upgrade Catalyst into Rod, you don't have that passive anymore. Notice that. You don't have that passive anymore. And Rod is a mythic. And so you go, wait a second. When the durability patch happened, Taric's AP ratios were gutted. So what does this mean? This means that this is actually not a Taric item. Do not get baited into this, because not only is it AP that Taric, lost AP, but it's also a mythic. And when all of these other ridiculous Taric, literally Taric item and Taric item exist, there's no way you're going to be building this as your mythic when those two exist. Just straight up. Like, it's just not going to happen. You like Kassadin? Sure. but Taric, not so much. But Catalyst also is upgraded into Abyssal Mask. And guess what? Abyssal Mask still has the Catalyst passive and has the passive that it has now. So I honestly think that the bread and butter legendary for Taric is actually going to be Abyssal now. Because not only does it give health, does it give mana, magic resist, ability haste, it also gives the Eternity passive and the Unmake passive. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous that they're combining the current version of Abyssal Mask with the old version of Abyssal Mask, and they're just making a super Abyssal Mask that just screams Taric. Instead of, we don't even want to build, Fimbulwinter nerfed into the ground, Muramana, we can't finish it, and Seraphs has AP, and so even though Seraphs has a really nice passive for Taric, this is basically everything that Seraphs has that Taric wants, and everything that Abyssal has that Taric wants. It's everything that Taric wants all at once. So what's going to happen is, instead of sitting on tier, we're just going to end up sitting on Catalyst, and then we're going to build our Mythic, and then we're going to upgrade into Abyssal either second or third based on their team, right? Like, this is insane. Like, please let me play with this item, because holy shit, it's just so incredibly insane. So Sunfire is no longer Mythic. Interesting. Does this mean you want to build Bammies to clear still? Maybe. But, like, also, one of the things that's a problem, I'll say that this is a problem, because it is. So, when they came out with the Mythic system, there are different Mythic components that you can only build, and then you can't build other Mythic components. For example, you can't build, like, the Riftmaker, whatever the hell it's called, like it's the Omnivamp wand. I don't know what it's actually called, but you can't build that at the same time as Bammies, right? Because Bammies builds into a Mythic, and that item builds into a Mythic, so you can't buy both. But now that Bammies goes into Frostfire and Sunfire and Turbo Chemtank, but Turbo Chemtank and Sunfire are no longer Mythics, that means, maybe that's, maybe you can potentially pick up an early Bammies for clearing, and then also pick up Catalyst for clearing, but then finish your Mythic. Like, holy shit, imagine this build. Imagine you go Bammies to clear, you go Bammies to clear, and you go Catalyst for mana, and then after you have those, then you build whatever the hell these items need, which is probably going to be something similar to, like, Sunfire's build anyway, or even Shroud or something. It would be similar to that, right? So, what are you going to build first? Definitely Catalyst, and then are we going to build Bammies? Maybe not. It depends on these items, or even if Turbo, it doesn't mention anything related to Bammies anymore, so maybe Turbo Chemtank is being changed entirely. We'll have to see about that, right? Because Deadman's is not in a good spot, but, if Turbo Chemtank is no longer a Mythic, this gives you a pretty good engage. Could be ideal in certain comps. Just imagine, like, Frostfire Turbo. Like, that sounds really good. Like, I would build Frostfire Turbo. You just engage the fight, slow them all, then you start autoing and you slow them again, and you use Phase Rush to move in and out of the fights. Could be really good. Randuin's, I didn't think this was changing at all, but I guess it is getting a little bit of nice buffs, so Randuin's is going to be stronger. Okay, fair enough. It's just a little bit stronger, which is nice. Shojin, I actually I think when Shojin existed, I built it a little bit on Taric, and it was okay, but not how they're doing it now. So now your non-ultimate spells gain blah, blah, blah. They gain ability haste, reduced to whatever for ability haste for immobilizing spells. Guess what? Taric's E is an immobilizing spell. His Q, guess what? You auto attack and you get your Q back. So this item is absolutely completely useless for Taric. If you are building this, you might as well be playing like Disco Yumi, not even just Disco Nunu. If you build Shojin on Taric, you're playing Disco Yumi. That's how troll this item is for Taric. But this one is a little bit different. So attacks and items deal, whatever physical damage, great. Gain 0.5 AD and 1% Omnivamp whenever you kill an enemy, stacking up to 25 AD and 5% Omnivamp. Lose these stacks on death. They basically made an AD version of Mage Eyes, I guess, but not really, because the item is still good even without the this passive at all. Even if you have 0 stacks of this, you know, you still have these stats, and it still does Ravenous Hydra things. So, you know, that's really good. So, you know, overall, a lot of tank item changes. It seems like there's going to be like super tanks in the game now, which should be very interesting and make ADCs even more busted than they already are. But now that I'm done with the items, and once again, these two are going to be like the core Taric items, I cannot wait to test them out. Let's go back to the beginning and go into it, right? The return of Chemtech. The Chemtech Dragon will return. They really want it back. And guess what? Now it gives tenacity and healing and shielding strength, which, holy shit, of course, give that to Taric. You know, of course Taric wants that, right? And then, you know, damage based on, you know, health missing, whatever. Alongside the Chemtech Drake, the Rift is gonna have, you know, chemicals with mutated jungle plants with upgraded effects, and so in this Chemtech zone, the blast cones will blast twice as far as before. That could be really crazy depending on how you use it. Honey fruits will be stim fruits, which you know, they give shields as well as heals, which means you would want to fight around the fruit potentially. And then this will be Stalker's Bloom. When you hit the plants, they reveal, you know, a cone, and you know, if any ward is hit, they have 1 health. So if you play Teemo or any trap-based champion, Shaco, whatever. Well, not even Shaco. I guess just Teemo, right? Because it has like HP like that. You know, it's gonna like this dragon is actually nerfing the champion, or also it's nerfing Umbral, which is great, because Umbral is way too strong right now as well. So the jungle pets. The jungle is a dangerous place. It's dangerous to go alone. So we're going to make it super easy to play jungle. And everything we're going to do is making, like, half of these changes before I even get into them is making it easier to play jungle. So these pets can be, there's 3 of them. One of them gives more damage and provides slows. One of them gives frontline tankiness and tenacity, slow resist. And one of them gives more movement speed. Guess what? Taric needs all these things. He needs damage, he needs tankiness, and he needs movement speed. So it's going to be like, okay, what do you do? Well, maybe this one if you're going to engage on them, or this one if they're tanky, and then this one if you want to just, you know, slap them, right? And I also think that this actually could be better than we know because of this word. It provides slows. What does that mean, it provides slows? Is it slows on abilities? Is it slows on autos? If it slows on autos, this is going to be really, really good for Taric, because that's basically old Glacial where you auto attack and, you know, the slow is created by the auto attack. If it's ability based, then it's going to be nerfed into the ground, because there's going to be so many champions with AoE abilities that will provide slows, and that'll be like ridiculous. Like imagine Kiana, just every ability provides a slow. Yeah, sounds broken. If it's auto attack based, then this could actually be pretty good for Taric, since it's basically old Glacial. But realistically, you know, if, you know, depending on how this one is balanced or what this slow actually means, probably going to choose the tank one or the movement speed one, but we'll find out. Right? Leash range indicators. I'm going to do this really quickly because it's a little bit of weird stuff. They're dumbing down the game, right? They're making it really easy to play, which is good for new players, but, you know, maybe a little bit a slap in the face for people who have mastered the game and learned all these things on their own. You know, their recommended jungle paths and the pathing recommendations are based on which routes, you know, led to a victory. So now there's going to be like statistics of, you know, the highest win rate based paths to take. As if you're playing Taric jungle, you start blue and then you do certain camps, and wow, it's gonna, you know, be really good for new players, I guess. Communication tools. The old ones are coming back, but they're also adding push in, all in, hold, and bait. You know, hold basically being turtle, and, you know, bait being, you know, it's like commands, right? You know, it's people are gonna flame more with them, but it's smart, right? You can do different things with these. People are just gonna have to get used to them. And also the ping wheel is on Vision is also gonna be pretty significant because of something right here. Wait, where is it? It's actually in here. I'll wait a little bit. I'll do this first. Now you can also vote. You can have an FF vote, but it's not an FF vote. It's actually it's a dragon vote. You can vote whether or not you want to do dragon or urban objective, which is ridiculous, but also makes sense, right? You also want to know, like, it's not going to tell you, but you should also know who is voting for what, right? Because it's like if the top laner votes yes, but the bot lane votes no, that's a significant difference. then, you know, the jungler voting yes, and certain people, like, you gotta know what role is voting for what. Hopefully it tells you what, like, these little green dots hopefully are not in order voted, but in by role. Like, this is top, this is jungle, this is mid. Hopefully they do it like that. If they don't, that could get a little bit strange. But yeah, so that's what that is. And then off-screen pings. This is a nice little thing where if the ping is off-screen, it'll slightly show you, you know, where it is. That's kind of nice. And, you know, you look at this. This is insane. So now if you ping an enemy ward that you saw them place in the last 10 seconds, a perfectly accurate ward timer will appear until the ward is removed or expires. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. That'll exist, right? How will it affect the game? I have no idea, but that's something to look forward to. It's going to recommend rune pages and summoner spells, right? They're basically just taking Professor and they're giving it the chop and block and saying we can do all of this ourselves. So all that is just like, you know, just training wheels crap. But here's actual changes, right? Solo lanes are going to receive less XP, 2% less XP, and dual lanes are going to receive 2.73% less XP, you know, than they're currently receiving. So that's going to make jungle stronger. Simply, that's exactly what it's doing. If there's no jungle minion XP changes, but there's XP changes to the solo and dual lanes, that obviously makes jungle even stronger than it is. Which means, of course, I would love to play some more jungle or hell, smite support. If the jungler is going to be the strongest person, then you might as well just make the jungler the strongest person. Anyway, and also mid lane now has reverse cull, so you're going to lose like 100 gold per, you know, 100 minions. Whatever. I guess mid lane nerfs a little bit, and then it's back to the items, right? So, you know, we just have to see. It's really hard to say. You know, I wanted to wait to go on the PvE. I will go on the PvE and start trying some of these items out and different things once it gets more fleshed out. Some interesting changes that I do like. I like a lot of these changes. I think a little bit is, you know, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, but otherwise, overall, great changes. Really worried about some of these items being just like broken. I feel like imagine, just go back on the items again. Imagine Goliath Ascendant like this. Imagine just Fiora. Imagine Fiora just takes Grasp, goes Titanic, Hydra, and this item. Like, that sounds like the most disgusting thing in the world. So, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like some of these items will be just ridiculous, and I just cannot wait to have Catalyst instead of Tier. That just sounds much better. So yeah, that's about it. And then yeah, we'll see when I get on the PvE and actually start getting some of these games off. But yeah, that's it. See ya.